Hello and welcome to the Daily Breakthrough. I am your host, Kwame Kwade, and today is part 4 of the 4-part series that I started a few days ago. This is the final piece of that, and today I'm going to talk about patience. So, before I even get to that, let's recap where we've been the last few days. So, this whole series about why you should start now was prompted by the fact that I believe strongly to my core that starting is one of the most challenging things that people who want to start businesses face because they find it so intimidating and they overthink the whole thing and they see it as a big mountain in front of them that they have to clear. And so, in my 15 years of mentoring startup founders, one of the things I've realized is that a lot of them come into this with a mindset that is not conducive for what they're trying to do because they come in overwhelmed by the problem and are constantly thinking about this big mountain when there's so many pieces of it that they need to deal with that they can do immediately that they are neglecting because they are so frightened and overwhelmed by the big problem they're trying to solve. So I wanted to give you a framework to be able to nudge you to start because nothing happens until you start. No amount of seminars, webinars, masterclass, books, podcasts is going to prepare you to start a business. You have to go there and do it. So the longer you delay, the more you prolong the learning curve that is going to be required to start. So this 4-part framework, I started with number 1, mindset. What mindset do you have to be in order to get started now? Number 2, action. Nothing happens without action. And that's why it's so critical to get started now because a lot of us are overthinking it and think we have to prepare. There is no preparing for business. You have to actually do it. The learning is in the doing. So, action and the specific action you need to take is what I talked about in that episode. And then number 3, which was yesterday, was persistence. Why you have to persist and the 4 different pressures that you face as you try to start something new and how to deal with those pressures. And today I want to talk about patience. Why patience is so important in business. So this is all in context of starting a business. And while most of the lessons apply to a lot of areas of life, today specifically is deeper into business. Why patience is required in business. I'm going to talk about three three different things. Every time I put my hand up, I have to really look because sometimes my mind is doing something different, So that was that moment. Anyway, so I'm going to talk about 3 different things that we are going to have to think about when we talk about patience. So patience is not a passive thing. When we talk about patience, a lot of people think you just sit there and wait. But it's actually, there's a lot of preparation involved in patience. So, patience, if I'm to sum it up, is about how you wait. And how you wait requires preparation. So, there are 3 things I want you to consider. Number 1 is that things take time. In business, things take time. Whatever time frame you think it's going to take, multiply it by 3 or 5 because that's how long. Nothing happens according to schedule. And there's a couple of reasons why. Number 1 is that when you start a business, you are just guessing. You are in business to solve a problem and you see and you identify an opportunity in the marketplace and you've created a product or service to solve that problem. What you've created or the idea you have in mind is a guess. Until you go out there and let the customers react to your idea, you don't know. That's why customer discovery is so important when you start. And I talked about that in other videos. If you watch my videos, you know I'm big on customer discovery. Do not start a business without conducting customer discovery. So when you start, you're guessing. And so when you put your product or service out there, it's going to take time to then figure out what business model works. And what is a business model? It means that the right mix of the product or service that solves the problem, the biggest pain point, at a price that people are willing to pay. It takes time to figure that out. And so, how does that happen? You have to test things, then learn, and then make the changes. Go back out there, put it out there again, test, get reaction, make tweaks, go back there. You keep, and some things you may have to discard, other things you may have to pivot. There's so much happening that time is critical, but also important to keep in mind that it's going to take a while for you to get there. So think of the first few months or years in a business as exploring your business model. And you're then going to stumble on a model that works. And I use that word deliberately because that's what happens. You test all these things, you come up with the assumptions that this is what's going to be, and then finally you stumble on something and say, oh my God, this is the combination that works. And then that is then what you then do more of. So, as you know, I'm going to quote two people about this. Mike Tyson says, everybody has a plan until they're punched in the face. That's how business plans work. That's why I personally don't recommend people to write business plans, because they're useless, really. Because the plan, you write, you spend all this time writing this document, and then you go out there, and then it's completely different. The first day you put the plan out, the business plan is obsolete, because what you're going to find out in the market is completely different from all the preparation you've done in that business plan. So, and then Colin Powell likes to say, but every battle plan, battle plans don't survive the enemy. You can, as a soldier or army or whatever, you can create whatever battle plan you want, but until it faces the enemy, you don't know what's going to happen. And both quotes are about preparation and the fact that you cannot put too much stock in preparation. That's why this whole 4-part series, was about getting started now. That's why there's the now in the start. Now, because the longer you wait, the longer you delay your learning, because there's so much learning that you need to do, that starting now is beneficial, because then you start on that journey to learn and peel that onion and really figure out what this is about, whether this is even a good idea or not. So that is number one, is it takes time. Number two, runway. You have to extend your runway. Patience is about runway. And that's why I'm saying there's preparation involved in patience. It's not a passive thing. You just don't sit down and wait. You have to prepare to wait. And so what does that look like? Well, if you're starting new, one, don't quit your job yet, because there's a long road ahead. You don't even know if this idea is going to work. And if it's going to work, it's going to take a while to figure out what works. So don't quit your day job yet. And then everybody, when I say this, people are like, when should I quit? And I have a formula for you. When your business, this new gig, is able to pay 1/3 of your bare bones expenses, then it's time to quit. Because then you can get a part-time job to get another third, and then you can hustle hard now that you have more time to get the other third. And I can record a whole video on this about when to quit your job. Actually, that's going to be my next video. So the next video after this 4-part series is when to quit your job when you start a business, so that I can explain more of this in detail. And then expenses. When you start, do not go into this spending mode and going for shiny objects, because a lot of times we spend money on things we don't need. A pretty website, obsessing over product design and all that. The biggest thing you need to do and focus on is a minimum viable product. And what it means is that you have a version of your product or service that has basic enough functions that people need to see how this thing works, and put it out there. You don't have to have a perfect, completely done product, because the MVP, minimum viable product, will allow you to get feedback. And that feedback you can improve and improve and improve and iterate and pivot until you get to the sauce, the secret sauce of right product attributes and components or service that works and at the price that people can pay, or that solves people's biggest pain point. It's a long journey, so don't spend money because you need the runway. This thing is going to take a while, so you need money to survive. So do not run through your money on marketing, on website, on fancy things, on an office building or an office or technology or the best camera. Or no, conserve your cash, because that is how you're going to extend your runway and give yourself the opportunity and increase your odds of having enough cash to last you however long this is going to take to figure out. And then, so as you can hear, there's some noise in the background. There's somebody doing some chainsaw work somewhere in the neighborhood, which is really coming through. It may come through, it may not, but I'm just letting you know that's what you may be hearing in the background. So bear with me. And then number 3, time frame. I talked about things take time, but I want to talk about mindset around time. In business, really, it takes about 5 to 10 years to really get into your groove. To really, even if when you figure out in the beginning what works, to build a sustainable business that you can make a living off of for a long period of time takes time. So the third thing I want to talk about is your motive. Waiting is enhanced by appropriate and right motive. If you are in this for money, if you saw a shiny object and you say, oh, I can do that, and you're in this for money, you're going to fail, because it's going to take a long time. And when things get tough, what is going to motivate you to get up in the morning and do this? So I'm not saying you have to have passion for it, because I have never had passion for any business I've been in, but I've had intense interest, and I've been married to the problem. I see a problem in the marketplace and I know I'm the best person to solve it, and I have that zeal that I am the one that's going to solve that problem, and I'm going to be obsessed about it. It doesn't mean that I'm passionate about that industry, but I am obsessive about solving that problem because I know I have the skill sets, background, experience, knowledge, and an interest in seeing it happen. That is what is going to carry you through the tough times. So patience requires the right motive. What is drawing you into this problem? What are you in it for? If it's money, you're going to fail, because money motivation is not going to get you through the hard times. And so that is the third thing I want to talk about patience. So to recap, you have to be patient because it takes time. Number 2, you have to be patient and be judicious with your money. So don't quit your job yet. And also make sure that you are not spending frivolously on things you don't need. Preserve your cash because you need a long runway to get through this. And number 3, check your motive, because it's going to be a long road and you have to be patient. And patience requires that you have the right motivation. When things are dark, what is going to force you to get up and go do it, even when you don't feel like it? What is going to anchor your discipline? What is going to anchor your consistency? It has to be the right motive. You have to be married to that problem and be open to other solutions. You notice I'm using my words very carefully here. You have to be married to the problem so that you're open to doing whatever it takes to find a solution to the problem. You're not coming to it married to a solution. You're coming to it married to the problem, and you're going to do whatever it takes to crack that problem and find the perfect solution because you think you are the best person to solve it. So that is the end of the 4-part series about why you should start now. Remember, it begins with mindset. Number 2, action. Number 3, you have to persist. But number 4, you have to be patient. And so I hope this has been helpful to you. Please let me know. Give me feedback about how this has helped you get started on whatever it is. I want to hear your stories about what you've started as a result, or if this has helped you in any way change your mental approach or your perception about starting. Let me know. the stories really help encourage me to keep going. So I love to hear from you guys. And if you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, please do so. If you like what you hear, I would love, it would be an honor to have you as a subscriber. So that's it for today. Until the next time, you can do hard things. So keep pushing forward.